Man, it's pretty cramped back here.
I know
we wanted to do a behind-the-scenes episode, but I'm starting to think that maybe switching the cameras a bit wasn't the best idea.
There's a great.
Can you even see what you're doing back there?
I most certainly can. If I would transition scene in 3, 2, 1.
Alright.
No.
This one?
No.
No.
That one.
No.
This one?
No.
This one?
No.
There.
No. Happy monstering! Welcome to the big 3-0 of
that's
my
two
Sing
threes.
Monsters Live. Oh,
I did 33.
almost. We're almost there.
One day.
I'm Monster Handler Eric.
And I'm Monster Handler Sydney.
You might notice that today Monster Handler Matt is absent.
Where could he be?
I looked everywhere. I looked under the desk. I looked over the desk. We can't find him.
Beside the desk.
But the show must go on. We're here to talk about behind the scenes. You can see we tried something with the opening segment. Didn't quite work the way we intended.
Yeah.
But thanks to Mike for trying.
It's trying that counts. At least he made an effort.
Exactly right. And so today we will be talking about behind the scenes of your favorite game and ours, My Singing Monsters.
Yes.
We'll be talking about behind the scenes of the show.
Yes.
We've asked for questions, trivia questions about the show specifically since Matt isn't here and he's the walking monster encyclopedia. We thought, well, maybe we can answer some trivia about the show.
That's something we know a lot about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And on that note, if you have any behind-the-scene questions specifically for Sydney or I, this is the time to ask it in the chat.
The dynamic duo.
Try to get on the show. That's right. So rarely, we really only get to go on here to eat gross
I know,
things.
we only do Monster Kitchens together.
So it's nice to just be able to just host
Hang
the
out,
show.
yeah.
Yeah, this should be a nice show
I
to
think
put
so,
on.
too.
One
We've got
thing.
lots of surprises today.
Yes.
Sorry.
One thing you may have noticed, the volume should be a little bit louder. We had our good friend Sam in audio come in and balance the microphones a little bit differently, but the one warning he gave is that it might come in a little clearer than it used to. So you're going to want to just watch that volume and make sure. It should be consistent, but it might just be a little bass louder than you're used to.
So thanks for being patient with us while we figure all this stuff out. And thanks to Monster Handler Sam for helping us out with
As always. So, you know who else I'd like to thank? All the subscribers who help contribute to the show with their subscriptions. If you're not aware of what being a subscriber means, it means that you get extra emotes in the chat. It also means that you're signed up for our subscriber giveaway every single episode. We always do a giveaway at the end of the show, just for people who are in the chat entering the raffle. If you haven't already, make sure to type !raffle to be entered for that. But if you're a subscriber, you're also entered for another giveaway. And do you even have to be here to be entered?
You
No,
don't.
it's automatic. Now, if you want to subscribe, make note if you have a Amazon Prime account, because it should give you one free Twitch Prime account, which will let you subscribe to a channel of your choosing. And why
That
not
should
this
be
one?
yes, yeah.
That's right. Get in the giveaway for, what is the giveaway today, Sydney?
The giveaway is Rare Sponge.
Ooh.
And of course, recently released was Epic Sponge,
That's right.
who we'll be talking about a little bit later in this episode. But shall we announce who the winner is for today's Rare Sponge?
Let's hear it.
It is faithful subscriber, contributor of many fan content, Cubwax.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Cubwax. Thank you for subscribing, and thanks to all our other subscribers. Stay subscribed, and you might just win next episode. Who knows? So, without further ado,
Behind the scenes.
Behind the
That's
scenes.
the theme of the episode. Like I said, obviously, we'll be talking about behind the scenes of the show and the game. But to start, I thought we could touch on this very special monster that was recently discovered, who
Epic
reveals
Sponge.
the behind the scenes of its own anatomy.
yeah,
And who better to talk about it than an expert in the bio, Monster Handler Sydney.
that's me. So, Epic Sponge, a very exciting epic. Just talking to the community about it, seems like a lot of you are very excited about it. And of course, at first glance, Epic Sponge looks, very exciting, but it still looks quite sponge-like.
Yep.
Its body, just still sponge texture. Until you go into the game and you keep your eyes on it for a little while, and Epic Sponge enters its camouflage mode. So the Epic Sponge has two different forms of camouflage. Of course, it has its two spineapple stems on the top of its head, sea spineapple stems, in fact, which it uses to try and camouflage in with the sea spineapples under the living ocean. Thanks to all of you who are sending gross pictures of sea pineapples to us and saying we should eat them, by the way. No, thank you.
New monster kitchen.
Yeah, I guess so. We'll have to see. I'd like a regular pineapple monster kitchen. That'd be tasty.
That'd be very fun.
Yeah. So that is the Epic Sponge's first line of camouflage. It's first line of defense. But that doesn't always go so well because it's still huge. It's still very bright pink. You know? Hard to miss. So what does the Epic Sponge do when its sea spineapples fail? It shows its behind the scenes form. It phases into a semi-transparent form and shows its weird little skeleton. Now, a lot of you were saying, sponges have skeletons? They look too big and gelatinous and squishy.
Gelatinous is a good word for it.
Well, we don't know if common or rare sponges have skeletons because we're not gonna check. We'll take their word for it that they do. But Epic Sponges, we fortunately get the insider look, and now we know. So it doesn't seem to be the most helpful, the strongest skeleton of all. It's pretty small, it's pretty fragmented, but it's there. So it reminds me of when we asked for some Monsterpieces that showed the inside of monsters. A lot of people were sending us monster skeletons, which were very cool, actually.
That is what was asked for.
Yeah, so I'd love to see more
So
of those.
I suppose that makes sense.
Hashtag MyStreamingMonsters.
Yes, for any art. We'd love to see your Epic Sponge art. We'd like to see anything.
Yeah, we have some exciting Epic Sponge monster pieces coming in later. Tell us in the chat what you named your Epic Sponge, if you have one yet.
Ooh, yes, I'd love to see some creative names. I believe all of the auto names are references to a certain something. I won't spoil it, but if you know that, feel free to guess that too.
Yeah.
Now, regarding the behind the scenes of us, the show, the game, there's obviously so much to touch on. So maybe what we should do is pretty much just jump right into questions. So I don't know what else we can do. It seems like questions is probably the best way to go.
Yeah.
Other than, I guess, a really brief history of the show is we started on Extra Life. If anyone here didn't know that.
Shout out to anyone here who watched our original Extra Life stream.
Yes, the infamous 25-hour stream.
Yes.
And things have obviously evolved.
Yes.
And it's become a regular show. And it's very exciting. And here we are. So, without further ado, I think we can get into some questions. But wait, further ado. Because we couldn't find Matt. I thought we had to get him on the show somehow.
Yeah.
And so on the topics of behind the scenes and on the topic of questions, I dug up an old series that we were workshopping, let's say, and it was called Quick Questions with Monster Handler Matt. We used a device called the HoloLens.
Some of you may be familiar.
Yes, which let 3D models of the monsters sort of live in the environment. It was not the easiest thing to shoot videos to edit with, but it was a very cool effect. So we did our best. The series didn't end up going forward, but you'll notice that sort of a lot of the humor and the ideas there are really reminiscent, specifically of the opening bits of the show, I'd say. I think a lot of our sort of characters came through in those. So I thought maybe during the questions I could show a couple of those quick questions. So why don't we start off with one right now to do with electricity.
My Same Monsters presents Quick Questions with Monster Handler Matt.
Hey everybody, got a quick question for you. The family of electricity doesn't include any natural monsters in Dawn of Fire, but it does have some representation among the Celestials. Do you know which monster I'm referring to?
I'll be shocked if it's Galvana.
It's Galvana.
Are you sure that's current information?
Yes. Do you have a favorite Celestial monster? Let us know in the comments below. I'll be amped to hear them.
Wow.
What did you think?
So, as I said, a little rough, not necessarily completely polished because it was just an idea we were working with. But I hope you guys liked it, and we'll show you a couple more throughout these questions that we have coming up. And boy, did you guys send in some great questions.
Yeah,
and I
thank you
think
so
we
much.
have some great answers.
Yeah. So, of course, you can always send us questions in the chat right now or on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all the social media channels by using hashtag MyStreamingMonsters. And I'll swoop in and scoop them up, and then we keep track of them all in one massive document that goes
That's
back
right.
months and months.
They all get stored.
Yes. So we never miss a question. All right, now, shall we answer some behind-the-scenes questions?
Yeah, let's hear some information.
So I have these kind of split up in big topics. So first off, let's talk about the audio of the game, the music, the sound effects, etc.
Sure.
So a question from one of our past surveys asked, what do you use to record monster songs? Do you record using live instruments or do you use included samples? And the response that we got when we investigated this is that it's a mixture of both. Some of them, like the castle's bass lines, were recorded using the actual instrument, so that's cool. Others are created using synthesizers and various plugins. Whenever possible, we like to use real instruments, but they're not always feasible, nor is it always the sound that we're specifically going for. So in some instances, we of course want more of a synthesizer or tech sound, but in some cases we do use real instruments.
That's very cool.
Yeah, and Monster Handler Sam is a multi-instrumentalist, I
That's
believe.
right.
Yes.
I think in some of the videos we have footage of people.
Yeah, our Super
in the studio.
Dinosaur Kick and Tail behind the scenes video that's on our Big Blue Bubble YouTube channel. Please subscribe. You can see our audio engineer, Monster Handler Sam, sort of playing guitar.
I think we've also got Monster Handler Chris on the piano.
Yeah,
Great duo there.
great duo. All right, next question comes from Bonnie Cakes. Who did the voice of the adult Celestials, Atmos, Glacier, and Plixie, and also who did the voice of Blabbit and Punkleton?
Oh.
Well, you might be surprised to know that they were all done by the same individual, and that is My Singing Monsters composer, Dave.
Wow.
Yeah, Dave, super multi-talented when it comes to voices. So yeah, they're all Dave. If you're wondering, who do I think voiced that monster? And it doesn't sound like a distinctly female voice, it was probably Dave.
The odds are good.
Yeah, the odds are good. Matt, of course, Monster Handler Matt, of course, where is he? But he also did many monster voices.
Now I will say that in the recent Following the Trail videos, Blabbit was voiced in a behind-the-scenes look by Monster Handler Chris, who does an excellent Blabbit impersonation.
Who knew? I didn't know that.
That's right.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, Galvana gracious. Well, now
What's
you know.
next?
Lizard Logan 1 asks, what was the team's favorite song to develop? And we talked to some people, and the answer we have is Tribal Island, because we splurged a little bit, and we rented a studio in town to record all the parts, and you can watch part of the process in a video on our YouTube channel.
I think that was the other video I was thinking of when I said there's some instrumentation in there, I believe.
Yeah,
At
so-
the very least, definitely recording.
Yeah, go check that out on our YouTube channel, our Tribal Island behind the scenes.
Awesome.
Yeah. And the last one in our audio section, and then after this, maybe we can jump into another quick question. perhaps.
Sure.
The last one comes from Explorer Monster, who is an excellent musician, who are some excellent musicians in their own right.
That's right.
They say, what instrument was used for creating Dawn of Fire Scartar's sound? If it was a synthesized sound, what process was used for creating it? And the answer we came across is synthesized sitar. But in terms of our process, we don't want to share all of our secrets. We don't want anyone making these.
Yeah, I see a winky face.
Yeah, we don't want just anyone making these exciting monster sounds.
That's right. Okay, so next will be art and animation, but why don't we jump into another episode of Quick Questions?
With Monster Handler Matt.
My Singing Monsters presents Quick Questions with Monster Handler Matt.
Hey everybody, got a quick question for you. In Dawn of Fire, which monster currently takes the longest to be teleported? That's right, the Candelabra. Sure takes that Quint Element monster a long time to make it to Space Island. Do you have any idea what it would be like to... Oh, sorry, I read that inflection wrong. Do you have any idea what it would be like for a monster to be teleported? Let us know in the comments below.
Do you have any idea what it took to make this video series? No, it was actually a lot of fun. It was very early on in my time here, and they were fairly wild scripts, and they were wild times. We had a great time, and the 3D monsters obviously are fun.
Yes.
They unfortunately there isn't a lot of movement around them or anything, because like I said, it was a little difficult to shoot with what is essentially a giant visor on your face.
We were sort of
But-
learning on the job with that.
Yeah, but still a lot of fun.
Yes.
Very happy that I get to finally share them
Yeah.
with everyone.
And I believe those were shot at our old studio?
Yes.
Previous studio?
Yes.
So they look so different looking at them now, comparing them to My Singing Monsters Live. It's so funny.
Yeah. Okay, art and animation. Speaking of looking at things, why don't we answer some of these questions
Yes.
from the fans?
I know that this is a subject a lot of you are interested in, so let's jump in. Corey Zucker, MSM, asks, what do you use to animate and design the monsters? So we spoke to our artists, and they said we use different programs for the different games. For My City Monsters and My City Monsters Composer, we use Adobe After Effects, and for My City Monsters Dawn of Fire, we use 3D Max. And a lot of, so that's in terms of animation, but in terms of designing the monsters and the art for the monsters, I believe it's mostly Adobe Photoshop.
I do believe that's the program they use the most. I've dabbled a bit in the After Effects files for videos, and the intricacies are wild. It's really impressive. It's really something.
Yeah, we have some really talented animators, and I think some of the animations are only getting better, which is great.
I 100% agree.
I love some of the epic seasonal animations. Epic seasonals. I wonder when the next one of those will be coming across. our
Epic
path.
seasonals. Bah.
Ah. All right. Next one comes from Connor Garrett 5. How are rares and epics made? Rares and epics are designed in different ways. For rares, we set ourselves a creative challenge back in 2014 when they first appeared, which would be to use the same sprite sheet as the common form. Excuse me.
I'm just helping.
All right. The same sprite sheet as the common form of the monster. So sometimes that means in terms of new sprites, we were sometimes limited. So we developed a tinting system where we would take existing sprites and recolor them so that they looked different. That's actually how Rare Spunge, on sale this week in the Rare Solo, works. For epics, we use a brand new sprite sheet, so we're able to stretch our imaginations even further to come up with new shapes and colors for the special forms of the monsters. So that's part of what makes epics even more epic than rares, is that they get their own special sprite sheet, whereas rares kind of share with the common form, which presents an interesting creative challenge to our artists.
That's right, and it obviously explains the bigger jump from normal, we'll say, to epic versus rare.
Yeah, exactly. And I think our artists really rise to that challenge with making some really exciting rares. Can't wait for you guys to see the next fire rare that we've been on the trail of. So next question comes from Bobby Boyo. What inspired the design of the dipsters? So the sound effect itself is what inspired the design. We were trying to figure out what a monster might look like if it only made a short staccato sound every once in a while, and then realized maybe it's hiding out of sight. From there, we were inspired by moles and earthworms, but we wanted to give each dipster a unique head design inspired by the natural world.
Wasn't that nice? It makes sense because they just dip up for a sec, dip back down.
Dipping down. Well, that does make sense. That makes more sense than I thought. Makes double
more
the
sense than the food dip, which is I was going to make a joke about earlier, and I thought, I don't know.
That Monster Kitchen was.
That was.
I don't like to think about it.
Yeah, we won't go too deep into the behind the scenes of that one
We won't
because
dip
it
too
wasn't.
deep.
It wasn't pretty.
No, it wasn't. Would you like to? We have one question related to programming.
Ooh.
Would you like to dip into this question?
I'd love to. Okay, this. Oh, I was gonna say you probably gave this one to me because the name seems a little harder to read.
Oh, it does seem a little tougher.
But it's not too bad. It looks like it's Gel 8H.
I wonder if that is one of the entrants to our That's How You Know We're Live contest. I believe someone had the name Yell or Gel.
Oh,
yes,
could be.
the duo there. I can't see the name. If
I
only
know.
Monster Handling Matt was
Yell.
here to pronounce it.
Ah.
He knows how.
Well, we'll have to keep looking for him, obviously.
I guess so.
I probably shouldn't give up this easy. But okay, back to, we'll say iGel's question. What game engine did you use to make My Singing Monsters?
A question we get very often.
And it says here, we actually use our very own proprietary engine called Hydra. A nice name.
Now you know.
Slightly different context now that Marvel is in pop
Yes.
culture. But,
Is it Hail Hydra?
yes. But the Hydra, of course, a mythical creature, I believe, with multiple heads.
I believe so, yes.
So maybe that has something to do with it. You know, maybe there's a lot of background processing. I'm not going to pretend to be well versed in programming, or maybe I will. Let me just check this here. Oh yes, that's exactly what it's called, Hydra. Perfect.
Expert programmer. Number one programmer boy, Monster Hunter America.
Ooh, don't throw that title around. There's plenty of good programmers
Yes, we
here
do have
who
some really
deserve the
exceptional
title.
programmers.
Infinitely more than I do, since I literally do no programming.
We have some programmers who have been here for like 13, 14 years.
It's crazy. I gotta
It
say
is
though,
crazy.
very helpful when we get these questions to have people who were here right from the start of this game able to tell us everything about it.
Yeah.
This looks like a very large answer, so I'm going to let you handle it.
Well, okay. We're jumping into questions specifically related to developing islands. We've got a lot of these. So Sparky the Dog 6 asks, what is the process of creating an island in the original game, so in My Singing Monsters? And we've got a big one here, so let's get into it. The process of creating an island in My Singing Monsters starts with determining which monsters go on that island based on the elemental configurations of each island. So of course, only certain monsters with certain elements can be present, and then their combinations, decide which other monsters will be there.
Sure.
Sure. As an example, we knew a lot of monsters that would go on Water Island based on the available elements: air, plant, earth, and water. So we knew which instruments and voices will be used in the song. Next, it was up to our composer Dave to write the music itself and program which parts would play when different combinations of monsters were on the island. Then, the animators would animate the monsters, playing their new parts. In terms of designing the island itself, the island has a sprite sheet just like the monsters, so it was up to the creativity of our artists to envision how the island's elements would influence its appearance. Air Island has the steampunk goggles, Water Island the snorkel, Composer Island the powdered wig, etc. So there you go. It's a multi-step process. It takes a lot of different types of talents to make an island.
Yeah, there's a lot of sort of logical meets creative,
Yes.
as it is within video game development, obviously, like a lot of things. But you've got to get, the building blocks that have to be in place, and then you've also got room where you can really sort of take off with some of the visuals.
Yeah.
And the like.
So it helps to have people who are, like you said, good at the logical aspect of things, programmers, game designers, etc., and our creative artists, composers, etc.
What do we got next?
Next up is, that's our only island development question. I thought there were more. Next, we're going into monster development.
Ooh, okay.
So Strimes Tweets 49 asks, how long does it usually take to create one original monster? That includes designing, sound making, and animating.
I'm actually very interested in this because oftentimes it only gets to us in our department after it's not necessarily finished, but well on its way.
Yeah, we in the marketing department usually see it when almost the full monster is complete, and then we might not even hear the sound until it's in game sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll get a sneak preview for videos because
Yeah.
I need to know if there's a way to sneak it in and maybe just sort of tease
Right, sort of
people
like with
it.
Incisor when we snuck in its sound in our little mini reveal.
Right, but I never really get to see them connected almost until the last minute. I actually get very interested as soon as I hear it's coming out. I start looking at Twitter and YouTube, and I can't wait for someone to post it.
Yeah. Sometimes you guys see it before we do.
That's right.
Okay, so let's get into the answer. Some monsters take longer than others, of course. The sounds come first, and then the artist can get started on designing the monsters themselves. Dave is pretty prolific and can turn out the first draft of an island in as quickly as just one night. Very talented composer. Then it's passed off to the artist. Wublins were done fairly quickly, about a week per Wublin from start to finish.
Wow.
But other monsters, like the Incisor and Dawn of Fire, took a lot longer as we wanted to make sure that the first new fire monster in over a year looked its absolute best.
Of course.
Yes, and I think, it also, it can also be affected by how complex the instrument is. So Incisor was based off of a vibroslap, I believe.
Right.
So that's kind of an interesting instrument to try and be inspired by. So yeah, it varies basically.
I think the important part of the answer is that we take the exact amount of time we need to make sure it's the best it can be.
Yeah, we don't rush.
It's hard to say exactly how long one takes because it really comes down to exactly that. How much intricate detail does it need? How can we unlock a monster's full potential for the players to enjoy?
Exactly. Strimes also asked, who do you think was the most difficult monster to make overall? I'm very interested in this
Yes,
answer.
this is another good question.
This answer makes a lot of sense. Before I say anything, put in the chat who your predictions are. Who was the most difficult monster to make overall?
Yes, take a guess.
Yes, I think a lot of you will get it. So get those in. And the answer is Wubox.
Of course.
Programming the new mechanic took a lot of time to program and test, and animating the monster in its powering up state, its idle animation, and various musical parts was a huge undertaking, which is why the Wubox was released on each natural island one at a time, instead of a big rollout. And, if you ever sit there and watch the Wubox doing its dance, it's so complex.
I was just looking at the Wubox file with a coworker recently, and yeah, there's a lot going on.
There is a lot going on. That was definitely one of our most impressive animations, befitting of a challenging monster to get.
Yeah,
Yes.
100. Again, we put into it something that would make the whole thing feel very exciting, worthwhile. It's great. I love it.
Me too. Now, these are questions about developing My Singing Monsters as a whole, especially about like the creation of the game. So, do you want to tackle a couple of these?
Sure.
Sounds good.
Let's read into this. First one we've got here is Eve Furcorn asks, how and why was My Singing Monsters created? How did this idea pop up? Again, a very good question. It says here, we knew we wanted to make a game in the world builder genre, but we also knew we wanted to do something different that leveraged all of the company's musical ability, of which we obviously have a lot, as we mentioned. We'd already done Thumpies at that point and wanted to revisit that mood, and so we created My Singing Monsters to highlight music instead of just collecting. You breed them, you feed them, but what's special is that you listen to them sing.
That's
Which
key.
sounds like a very familiar tagline to a particular
Where
game.
have I read that before?
But yeah, I think that's a great answer. You know, it's just I find it very uplifting. You know, there's a lot of ways to say, now we stumbled into it or this or that, but it's just sort of like we had something in mind, and the cornerstone of that was we want to make a musical game people can enjoy. Like it says there, more than just collecting. The inspiration for the game was a more than, you know?
Yeah.
It wasn't a this is what we want. It's let's find something bigger.
Yeah.
Let's find something broader.
We didn't want to be just another collector game, and I think you know, the longevity of My Singing Monsters really attests to that. We're going on, I think it'll be soon our 7th year. I think we're coming up on our 7th anniversary month shortly.
Close.
Yeah, so, you know, I think, if I may say so, to last that long really says you have something special.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, thank you to everyone who's been with us all these 7 years, or even partial, even if you started today. We
Thank
appreciate you jumping in, and that's why we're still working on it. So that everyone who's jumping in now, everyone who started, there's still more coming.
Yeah.
There's always more to jump into.
And like we were saying, you know, there's people at this company who have been working on My Singing Monsters since it launched, and we're here even before. They were working on Thumpies, you know, the predecessors to My Singing Monsters. So, you know, you supporting us is what drives us to want to keep supporting the game, so that you guys can keep enjoying it.
Absolutely. Okay. One fan in particular, who we will call at Lucas49195461,
That's a lot of numbers.
can you put all the monster voice actors one day on those My Singing Monsters credits and in Dawn of Fire, please? Or can you give us a list of the voice actors? I'm going to read this exactly as it's written. Funny you should ask. Something we're planning on doing is updating our credits to include all of the people who have ever worked on the game, even if they're no longer with the company. However, so far as I know, there are only about 5 to 6 people who do all of the voices, so the existing list might already be accurate. So there you go.
Now you know.
Like we said, odds are good that it's a Dave part.
Yeah.
We've obviously got, you know, Matt mixed in there. We've got some female vocalists.
Yeah, Sarah, producer of My Singing Monsters, who you can see in the Making of My Singing Monsters video, voices a lot of the more feminine voiced monsters. Magpie, of course, voiced by Maggie, who I believe is in the credits as well. So yeah, who else?
Chris did Grumpfire, also in that great behind the scenes video if you haven't seen it already.
And Monster Hamlet Karen does, I believe, is the voice of Tweedle on Firehaven.
That's right.
Yes.
I'm going to do one more question if you don't mind, since it'll wrap up this section. Call me random Trexicons.
I won't call you that.
If I knew what a Trexicon was, I'd call them random ones.
Would you call them specific Trexicons?
Well, no. That's not what they asked.
So
They asked,
demanding.
Big Blue Bubble TV, that's us. How did you choose the elements of the monster world? We tried to use the major elements that you see in a lot of fantasy titles. We did make the conscious choice to go with cold instead of ice or snow, and we know that sometimes trips people up. I think ourselves included the odd time.
Yeah, I've always wondered why that.
Oh, and that says it's sometimes even trips us
Awesome.
up.
Oh, well, nice.
Trips me up.
Crisps me up.
That's a crispy trips.
Crispy.
So that's why we joke around with names like the Cold Globe instead of Snow Globe and Cold Man instead of Snowman.
Again, it just makes us unique. It makes us special.
It's fun.
It's
You
fun.
know, it's the monster world. It's crazy. Anything can happen.
We like to have fun
Snow
here.
can be cold. what
Can
a
be.
wild switch. Okay, how about I hand this back to you
Well, thank you.
for the next section?
The next section is My Singing Monsters live related.
Oh,
So we have a question from Sasha Just Dancer. For the Monsterpiece time, how do you choose the ones that appear and the ones that don't? And also with Monsterpiece Monday. So I'm the one who typically gathers all the monster pieces up. And I do that, every single day. And then when it comes time for My Singing Monsters Live or for Monsterpiece Monday, I go into our huge archives. And there's multiple things that go into making the choice. Of course, what we're looking for is monster pieces that show a lot of heart, a lot of creativity. You don't have to be Leonardo da Vinci to get your monster piece featured. It's okay if it's, as drawing in your notebook as long as it really shows creativity.
Although, if you are Leonardo da Vinci and you have fan art, please hashtag My Streaming Monsters because...
Please write in your scroll, hashtag My Streaming Monsters.
Send it on through time.
Yes, your parchment will reach us. But yeah, so it can be a really simple drawing, but if it shows heart, if it shows maybe a sense of humor, creativity, that earns you bonus points. If it's relevant to the topic of the episode that's coming up, we'll definitely show those. Like today we have some epic sponge monster pieces that I'm excited to show you. And we also try to mix up where we find the monster pieces, so we don't just do, it's just Twitter monster pieces today. It's from everywhere, and we try to mix up the artists that contribute too. So we try to mix some of our, veteran fans and artists along with some new faces all the time. So there's lots that goes into it, and if you haven't been featured yet, it's just like questions where we're collecting all of them and we keep them all, and our archive of monster pieces goes back months and months and months. So there's always a chance you might get featured in a future episode.
You may have mentioned this in the middle of your answer that I just briefly missed.
He just wasn't listening.
But we also love different mediums.
Yes, we do.
So if you've got photography skills, if you've got video skills, if you've got obviously
Sculpture.
Drawing, painting,
Paper
sculpture,
mache.
Interpretive dance. We haven't gotten that one yet.
Ooh,
but
I'd love some interpretive dance.
Yeah,
those definitely are always exciting to see because they really set themselves apart.
maybe some pottery.
Yeah.
Pot-bellied pottery.
Oh, I'd love that.
Pot-bellery.
Shout out to someone on Instagram, and I believe they have a YouTube account too, Rock On Riff, who I believe won the That's How You Know We're Live contest with their stop motion clay animation.
Yes,
that's a great
claymation.
example of an extra medium that we love to see.
The variety is key.
Definitely.
So
I think that wraps up the behind the scenes questions that we've received.
Then I think we have one.
Thanks, Mike.
I think we have one more episode of quick questions
Yes.
with Monster Handler Matt to look at. Let's pull that up right now. In a second.
Right now.
My Singing Monsters presents Quick Questions with Monster Handler Matt.
Hey everybody, got a quick question for you. How long does it take to bake ice cream in My Singing Monsters? That's right, 3 hours. It's ready!
Oh man, that
Personal favorite.
That one was one of my favorites to shoot. What you don't see is Monster Handler Michael underneath the desk with a trash can for the ice cream, and then it hits him, I believe, squarely in the arm, and just got ice cream all over him.
We suffer for our art.
I think was that. I'm trying to remember if we used ice cream or mashed potatoes, but I think it was ice cream because I distinctly remember it getting all over.
I think you did use ice
Michael.
cream. It seemed to
I
a
think-
huge tub.
I think we were. Should we polish the series, we would have been reshooting those, I think. And so I think we were going, because of that mess, we were going to switch to mashed potatoes, which is a great ice cream sit-in if you're ever doing like movies or even photography. But yeah, so that was a very fun time. I know we had a great time also with the sound guys, obviously adding sound effects and stuff in there. Yeah, very exciting. Hope you guys enjoyed that as much as we enjoyed making it. Speaking of people who enjoy doing what they do, we are revisiting a fan favorite segment. It is called Meet the Monster Handlers. This one is called Tester Edition because we will be speaking to Alex, who comes from basically he tests our games.
Yes, he does.
And so, for the record, this was pre-shot because not everyone. It's late in the day when we shoot this at the office. Not everyone is able to come in right at showtime Fortunately, when we did shoot it with Alex, we knew where Matt was. He was here, so you'll see Matt in this clip, in this pre-recorded interview. But please, we'll be in the chat, so keep conversing with us while you enjoy this recorded interview.
Enjoy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second ever of our Meet the Monster Handler interview series. Today in the hot seat, I have Alex.
Hello.
Who is one of our testers here at Big Blue Bubble. And you're on the front lines of bugs and other sort of related hijinks. Now, in the past, we have blamed such bugs on Furcorns in the server room, chewing on wires. Boskus is throwing big parties, but you actually know the truth. The truth is that, you know, programming a game can be hard work. And so we're just going to talk today about a couple of the things that you do here on a daily basis at Big Blue Bubble and some of your favorite experiences as a tester. So Alex, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you into gaming and testing in the first place?
So I am the Senior Quality Services Tester for My Singing Monsters, and I kind of got into testing games at a young age, just playing games in weird ways. And then later on got into speedrunning.
Nice.
And playing through like Link to the Past and Soul Blazer and Super Mario World and going very fast in those games. So I'm nowhere near as good as some of the people who have world records, but it helped for testing.
Well, absolutely. So, like, especially with speedrunning specifically, that's basically, for those of you who aren't familiar, that's like getting through a game as quickly as possible.
Yes.
Right? You're sort of like, you're not stopping to smell the roses or anything like that. You're bypassing miscellaneous peripheral stuff and you're getting right through the stuff. So I assume in that state it's very easy to sort of break the game or for weird things to happen. We ask you today to bring us a couple of your favorite bugs and sort of programming hijinks. So why don't you take us through a couple of those?
So one of the bugs that's fantastically weird, when we were first working on the rares coming out, we had a bunch of them that the sprite sheets for them would kind of not look correct. Mm-hmm. And Bogart, when we put Bogart onto the island, kind of looked like an eldritch horror. It was just everything was his body with his head attached to it. And so it was just piles of them.
Yeah, I could see how that would be. I could see how that would be unsettling.
Yeah, just a moment. It was like, oh,
to say the least. And you said that was when we were putting in rare Bogart.
Yeah.
Right, because you know, calling the wrong sprite on the sprite sheet can lead to all sorts of exciting experiences. I think there was another experience like that, if I'm not mistaken, with Quarrister.
No, it was Stog that just came out.
Oh.
He looked like a pile of baked potatoes.
It's nice to know that the bugs aren't just in the past.
No.
That there's always something going on as recently as the rare.
No, it was definitely something that's like, oh, hey, we're coming back to the rares, and it's like, oh, hey, this happened again.
And rare specifically can be a little bit of an issue because of the way that they're formatted. They exist on the same sprite sheet as the common monster.
In there.
That's right. And one of the other bugs that is near and dear to my heart, just because it's a character that I voice, is Potbelly. And so Potbelly in its common form has, you know, its namesake is quite visible right on the body. And then in the rare form, in designing it, we decided to do something a little differently. But when you were testing it, you noticed something interesting.
Yeah, during Christmas, I think it was because we put all of like the Christmas outfits on.
That's right.
We had like the poinsettia look and like the little hat.
Mm-hmm.
He then would every once in a while he'd just flex, and so it would show his rare Potbelly's six-pack on regular Potbelly, and so, you know, I mean, props to him getting swole, but
and like sort of like phasing back and forth. It's sort of a quantum fitness program there. If only humans could do the same thing, where we could turn the gut very briefly into washboard abs.
Oh, I wish.
And then sort of swap back and forth.
Well, violent.
yeah, and you know, it's not just visual bugs. Of course, sometimes those are some of the easiest.
Yeah, those are the easiest things to see.
But there's all sorts of other like gameplay mechanics and stuff that you can figure out. And what would you say is the strangest occasion where you had someone show you a bug that you didn't know existed?
Very recently, actually, and it didn't end up being a bug just because the delay was so subtle. It's fine. We had a user write in and talk about how they were trying to use their piano to record into My Singing Monsters and like use the recording studio to put some tracks down for it, and they noticed that there's a bit of delay, which ended up being their setup and like that going through numerous points and a bit more. There was a tiny little bit of delay, and I had someone walk past me while I was testing it because I had recorded Dandy Doo singing on Earth Island. Yeah. And just had it record its own thing, and so it was just playing its recording of itself. And a device with just Dandy Doo on it, and I'm sitting there with the devices up to my ears for their speakers like this to hear the delay. I was like, huh? Oh. And it was like a hair of a second. And so but
testing can take many forms. Can sometimes be an absurd thing to witness.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sometimes maddening. We're all a little bit nuts, but we all really enjoy it. It takes a different kind of person with a different kind of mindset.
Yeah, I was just about to ask about that. I'm sure many of our My Singing Monsters community members are interested in what goes into testing the sort of background that you need, the sort of like angle that you need to approach things. Is there any advice that you'd give to the community about if they're interested in becoming a tester, what sort of things they might want to do?
Look online for resources. There's plenty of stuff out there. Get into various communities for speedrunning. They all have actually very rigorous testing ways of finding ways to break the game to go faster.
Nice.
There's certifications that you can get, all sorts of things like that. But otherwise, just play the game weird. Look at a game and try to do something that you wouldn't normally do. What do you think the developers didn't intend you to do here? And go from there.
And that's when you can like fall through the ground endlessly and shoot up into the sky endlessly and all sorts of exciting stuff like that. Well, that's great, Alex. Thanks for all of the information that you've shared with us today. It's always a pleasure to have another monster handler in the hot seat here, other than the usual crew. And all right, I think that's it. Another successful Meet the Monster Handler interview. Thanks again, Alex, and until next time,
happy monstering.
Yeah.
Talk about behind the scenes. What a cool look into the testing world.
Yeah, so thank you to Monster Handler Alex for sharing all that information. If any of you, were thinking about that kind of career one day, hopefully that helped you out.
Or maybe you're just interested in speed running and that's something you want to look more into too.
Yeah.
It's very cool. I don't know if you've ever watched it, but it is especially when they break the boundaries. It's very cool.
Yes, love watching some speed running.
Speaking of breaking boundaries, we always have a trivia section, sometimes called Stumped. But usually we're quizzing Matt, the walking encyclopedia about monsters. As he's not here, we asked for show trivia questions.
Thank you.
We thought maybe we could ask for. I've never been quizzed before. I don't think. Not in this section. So this is.
Hey guys. Hey, am I late?
What?
Excuse me?
Hey, how's it going?
This is one of those mirror creatures.
I've
never encountered one myself, but I can tell. I can tell by the mirror. I think that's what you are.
Wow. Well, you got a pretty nice shirt that you're wearing there, so correct me if I'm wrong. Sorry, I'm a little fan monstery right now, but are you Monster Handler Eric?
That's what it says, yeah.
That's what it says on the shirt.
Well, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm human expert Eric.
No.
And I'm very pleased to make your acquaintance.
I don't think I'm pleased to make your acquaintance. From what I've heard of human expert Matt, he's quite adversarial and competes with Matt all the time. It sounds very aggressive to me. I've never been here, but it sounds very intense.
Well, I mean, not all human experts are created equal. This is a mirror dimension to your own, but it doesn't mean that necessarily all of us have to behave the exact same way. I mean, to be totally honest with you, I'm a pretty big fan of this show.
Really?
Oh.
Oh.
That's nice.
What? That's nice. That's good.
I have been missing Matt so far on this episode.
Yeah.
As have we all.
Do you have any idea when he'll be coming back at all?
Hopefully next week.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
And
Who's to
will
say?
you guys be returning to your regularly scheduled Fridays next week?
I certainly believe
Because,
it.
I mean, I know I had to sort of disrupt my own schedule in order to make this surprise appearance here
Well,
on Show Dating. But I'm
we
happy that I
appreciate
did,
that.
because it's very... Oh, it's,
Glad you added that.
it's very exciting for me to meet you both. Hi, Cindy. Hi.
Hi.
I want.
Oh,
Are you human expert Eric? Are you ever in the chat messaging Sydney?
no.
Oh, so you just
No,
watch.
this is actually my first foray into the human world.
Oh, well,
So-
welcome.
Yes,
So I'm
welcome.
actually pretty excited. Now, I know that you guys were just about to get started on some trivia.
We were.
And
Yes.
I know that normally it's only humans that are allowed to compete, but I was wondering if I could possibly be the opponent to Monster Handler Eric.
Is this gonna be a friendly game, or is this? Are you trying to one up me?
No, I absolutely promise that I'll be well behaved. I promise.
Okay.
And I won't be adversarial. That's a big word that you used, Eric. I'm so impressed by you.
Well, thank you. I think we should ask the fans if we should.
What do you
allow
want?
us.
And please give the answer that I'm hoping.
Okay, but let me add one caveat
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
to your point, human expert, because I'm all about the specifics.
Of course.
okay.
You said normally humans aren't allowed to compete. That's not true. We just don't usually have anything other than humans attempting to compete.
Oh, that's
If a
Of course.
stray dog
That's a-
wandered
that's a
in
very
here
good
and
point.
wanted to
Of
answer
course
trivia
they could
questions,
compete.
we would let them.
Woof.
And
That's very
I
nice.
think the only times that other mirror beings, I don't know what to say.
We're not too picky about how you refer to
Other-
us. We
other
just-
human
we
experts.
Don't call us late to dinner.
What a good one.
Did you like that?
Yeah.
That's a
Oh,
original. Did you know that I
that's-
wrote that joke in this dimension?
Some things are always the same
Yeah.
across the rest. It's like it. But so every other time a human expert has popped up, or as some more insensitive monster handlers call them, imposter handlers. Probably
Yeah,
wouldn't do that.
I don't really go in for that term.
I love these guys.
Yeah.
Every time one has shown up, they compete.
Yeah,
So
of
it
course.
seems like tradition.
That's so
What
nice.
What are the fans saying, Sydney?
Let's
What,
take a
what
look.
kind
I'm
of
pretty
feedback?
sure they're
are we getting?
overwhelmingly in support of the participating.
I
in
have
some
to
sort of-
imagine.
in some sort of trivia showdown against my namesake.
He's very emotional, but I think people are for him competing.
Okay,
Yay!
then let's do it.
All
Oh,
right.
Okay. All right. So who's going first?
I guess I'm the home team, so
Yeah.
I'll go. I'm gonna say this. From what I've seen of the trivia sections, these questions are very hard. So I'm not gonna set any sort of goals like Matt normally does.
Okay.
I'm not gonna try to get a high percentage because, unlike Matt, who spent his veritable life studying monsters, I love this show.
Yeah.
I live and breathe this show, but I don't study it. So
Get a hobby, am I right?
all
I'm
right.
glad I could
What a
crack you
comedian.
up, Eric. I feel like you and I would be good buddies.
I'm
If
starting to
we existed
feel it.
in the same reality.
I mean, we could visit. We've got the magic mirror.
Hey, that's right.
Okay.
All right.
Let's get with the trivia.
Well, I
Okay,
think
let's
you're-
get it rolling.
Yeah,
Sydney, take it away.
Oh, I will.
Okay.
I
Let's
think
move
you're-
on with the trivia.
Yeah, right.
Okay. I
He's
think you're.
ready.
Oh my goodness gracious, Calvina. So
Do you believe this? She says all the time.
I've never dealt with this level of rudeness and
That's
unprofessionalism.
because it's twice the number of Erics as usual.
The big two Erics.
The big two.
Let's get this
Oh,
over with.
imagine if there were three. Oh, we'll worry about that later.
Wait
I don't
till
think
the
you
big
could all
four
fit
of
on
them.
this
Maybe,
one.
maybe we'll find more.
I'm ready.
All right. First question
Uh-huh.
for Monster Handler Eric.
Okay.
Oh,
Minor Night 5 asks. Oh, this is a softball question.
Mm,
They ask which island was revealed in a live stream.
well, that would be Firehaven.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Winner Gagnon.
Yes!
Oh,
Starting off on the right foot.
excellent.
Thank you.
Well done. Oh, look, there's Matt there down below.
There he is. Well, I never thought to check
Maybe
the graphics.
that's where he went. Yeah. He's been hiding the graphics this whole time. All right. Our first question for sorry, how did you prefer to be referred to?
I am human expert Eric.
All right, human expert Eric. Our first question for you.
Yeah.
How many episodes of My Sane Monsters Live have there been?
Ooh. Oh, I know this because it's a multiple of 3 and of 10. My two favorite numbers.
Those are my favorite.
I think, including this episode, that it's 30.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Stumped.
What?
Absolutely stumped.
Oh, now
see-
wait a minute.
You see, human expert Eric, we're actually including the not numbered episodes. We had, for example, the throwback Thanksgiving.
Now you listen
All right,
here,
controversial.
Sydney.
Controversial, I know.
Those were not episodes. Those were specials.
Thank you for your support.
You
in this
said
trying time.
episodes.
Monster Handler.
I didn't write the question.
You didn't say broadcasts. Broadcasts.
All right, well you can get a half and half.
I'll accept the defeat.
No.
Well, that's very polite of you.
I think you got it right, human
No.
expert Eric. That's what I would have guessed too, because it's technically correct.
The answer we were looking for, if you were wondering, is 37.
Oh, 7 special episodes.
Yes.
Wow.
There you go.
Now
and one episode, it says here, was lost because of Bill.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Did it explain which episodes were in that list? Because
No.
I am curious if they counted the YouTube special that we did
Ooh.
around Extravaganza.
It is not noted.
No, it wasn't Extravaganza. It was
Season of Love.
Yes.
It is
You
not
know better
noted.
than me.
Hopefully someone in the chat can.
Just curious. I'm
count for
I'm
us?
not disputing the answer because of that. I just want to bring it up and look knowledgeable before I look silly on another question.
Okay. My
Now.
time is limited in this dimension, so get on with the next
Okay.
question, please.
I get it. Next question for Monster Handler Eric.
That's mine.
Comes from.
Oh, not for me. Rats.
No, of course not.
Of course not.
In
Come on,
this
Sydney.
dimension,
This
we take turns.
Sydney, could you just read the question? We're trying to
All
get
right.
along here.
Go for it, Eric. I'm rooting for
I-
you, buddy.
Never. Brandon Boy 1209 asks,
Okay.
who are the 3 monsters? Oh, you have to close your eyes.
Oh.
Who are the 3 monsters on my sweatshirt?
Oh.
I
Okay.
can see. I can see.
Quick, tell me the answer.
No. I want you to get it on your own.
Okay.
on
I'm
your
gonna.
own
I'm gonna.
steam there,
I'm
buddy.
just gonna go on gut here. I'm gonna say Mammoth, Furcorn, Bogart.
Mammoth, Furcorn, Bogart. How'd
Yeah.
you feel if they told you that you got 2 out of 3?
I'd feel 2/3 happy.
Well, that's how you're feeling. You got Mammoth and Bogart. The third one is Stumpies.
Stumpies. Ah.
So
wow.
that's a slight stumped.
Sorry, my friend.
Stumped. But good question.
Yeah. All around.
All right, and our next question for human expert Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I definitely need to brush my teeth.
Yeah, you're looking a little black.
If I had a
The
toothbrush,
human,
I'd just
the
reach
human
in and.
camera adds 10 pounds of plaque. All
No
right.
wonder.
Let's hear the question.
All right, the question is, what was the longest episode of My Sea Monsters Live?
Wow.
I need to go back and watch the reruns, obviously. It's syndication on all major networks here in our dimension, but
What?
I think that the longest episode to date might have been, I want to say, is it episode 20? That's my
You're going
guess.
with episode 20?
That's my guess.
Stumped.
Oh.
However, I will give you the option to earn, let's say, half points. Can you guess how long our longest episode was?
Ooh, that seems like a harder question.
An hour, 21 minutes, and 37 seconds.
Good guess.
That is a good guess. Double stumped.
Oh, rats.
It was episode 3. One of our earliest, and it was
What?
get ready for this. I couldn't believe how long it was. 1 hour, 41 minutes,
41
and
minutes.
40 seconds.
What were we doing?
Wow. Does it give any context?
No,
That's
Wow.
ridiculous.
That sounds like quite the episode.
we'll have to
also,
go back and take a peek.
if I may make one quick note,
Hmm.
human expert.
Yes.
I know you said that the camera adds 10 pounds of plaque.
Uh-huh.
You're not into plaque. You're in a mirror, silly.
I also value puns.
Ah, I love this guy.
You're a keeper in my
feel
books,
trapped.
Monster Handler Eric.
You're a
All right,
book in my keepers.
What's next?
Okay, next
Man,
question.
I'm really not doing well so far for
This-
someone.
You'll
who's-
get there. You'll get there.
These are very tough.
Thank you for your support.
I still maintain you got the first one right.
Okay, our next question from Monster Handler Eric comes from Logan Peters 89, and they ask, what episode did Bill first appear in?
Oh.
Bill,
One
friend
of
of
my
the show.
all-time faves.
This feels like it would be early. See, I love the number 3, so I was gonna guess 3, but that was the answer to the last question, so it seems unlikely.
Hmm.
I almost like the number 7, but that seems late. But when would I don't want to take too long on this question, but
No.
I'm really trying to search.
I got faith in you, buddy.
Bill.
I'm proud of
He's
you.
got a real supporter up
I'm
here.
so proud of you.
You are emotional.
I know he waved the
Yeah.
one time, and I think that was the only time he was on camera, right? Was when he wait, and that was was that before or after the sitcom opening? I'm gonna say 13.
Episode 13. Huh? Episode 13?
Yeah.
Do you have any guesses? Just out of curiosity?
None whatsoever.
No.
Oh, maybe 14.
Oh yeah. Good guess, too.
Stumped.
Oh,
Episode 7.
I should have gone with my number. I thought too hard.
Oh,
You never
something.
Who asked that question again?
Something I suffer
Logan
from
Peters 89, a
constantly.
subscriber.
Logan Peters, if you're watching, you were probably killing yourself laughing when I said 7 and then changed my mind.
I like to think they're disappointed in you.
Like,
No, of course
How could you
not.
say
I should be
that to
co-hosting
me?
with
Because
you,
I'm getting
human
bullied
expert
this episode.
Eric.
No,
We should just
We're just having
move
some
the
fun.
mirror into this seat, and we should just host a show.
we're just
Does
having
the mirror
some
even
fun.
need a seat? Should I just leave?
No,
No.
Alright.
please stick around.
Okay. I will.
I've got
I'm a
limited
fan
time.
of yours too,
Right, he is.
Sydney.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure one day I'll be a fan of yours. I just have to watch the
One day.
footage.
Yeah, do you guys get our
The
signals?
It seems intermittent at best. You seem to just appear.
At best.
We did once wander into your dimension. Well, Matt did. Oh, I hope Matt's not in that dimension and lost.
Oh my goodness. Have you seen him?
I have to take a look around. Hey,
Good question.
human expert Sidley. Human expert Matt. Where are they? Oh no. What the?
Wow, there's a lot.
Oh,
There's a lot of people missing.
We'll worry about that later.
Yeah.
Is it just a desert over there?
Maybe
No
they're
one
all
around?
hanging out.
No, it's a big studio, okay?
Well,
That's. Yeah.
All right, ask me my
yeah, let's
question,
fill your big
please.
studio with this next question.
Please ask me my question.
How many episodes of My Sea Monsters Live
Mhm.
feature food being eaten?
Ooh,
Important distinction.
this is tricky.
Not
So
necessarily
not necessarily
Monster
Monster Kitchen,
Mhm, mhm.
but
Do you have kitchens in your universe?
no, we just find food on the ground and eat it.
Oh, neat.
Same.
Yeah, there's no preparation of food whatsoever. I'm gonna say we've, so far as I can remember, you've had a couple of monster kitchens, maybe 3 or 4 over 30 episodes, maybe more than that. I'm gonna say 7 to
7?
continue the trend.
Good number. Good number.
Continue the
Lucky
trend
number.
from earlier.
I see. Okay. Well, what if I told you that you were stumped?
Stop.
And that it is actually 10?
10.
Those episodes are
Rats.
episode 1.
I don't think I've gotten one question correct.
They're a hard question.
They
Yeah.
are
And you got
hard
the first one
questions.
correct. Don't let anyone tell you different.
Thank you, Eric.
You're doing pretty well. Considering. So those episodes were episode 1 when you and Mike got pie in the face.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I did eat some Cheerios that day.
The Thanksgiving special, there's pumpkin pie.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 3 where you guys ate spicy beans, you and
Those
Missing Matt.
spicy beans.
And I ate a
Little
spicy
spicy
pepper.
Do you like spicy beans, human expert?
Oh, yeah, they're some of my faves.
Huh.
They grew on me.
Yum, 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 yum.
Episode 5 where we drank homemade eggnog. Episode 11 where we made dip, you and I.
Yep.
Episode 15 where Monster Handler Matt eats chocolate. Episode 18 where you and I eat ice cream.
Chocolate.
Episode 23
Don't
where
want that
Monster Handler Matt and you eat blueberries. Episode 26 where Monster Handler Matt and I eat corn pops. And make edible slime.
Those looked really tasty. I was jealous of you two.
Me too.
They
I was
were
behind the
quite
camera.
tasty. They were quite tasty. And then episode 29, this most recent one, where I ate a hot pepper.
Of course. Spicy Sydney. Are you a fan of Spicy Sydney?
Oh,
Human
of
expert.
course. Of course. We consider that to be the most worthy trait when assessing someone's value.
Ability to
their ability to
tolerate
get spice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
maybe I'd do well over there.
Oh,
All right, what do you think? One more question each?
one more each.
Okay.
okay.
Monster Handler, Eric. Your question is,
It's not my question. Someone else asked it.
it's from Cubwax,
Oh.
and they say it's not exactly about My Sea Monsters Live, but it's
Wow.
about the YouTube channel, so it's
Oh.
related. It's related.
Okay. This is still in my wheelhouse.
Mm.
What was the exact title,
Oh, okay.
word for word, of the YouTube video with Bill's first appearance?
Oh,
I think you have a
where's the
chance of
word?
getting this. Do you think he has a chance?
No.
You don't believe in your friend?
You know
No,
what?
that's
There's
very tough because it was certainly called. It had its own title, which I believe was Hey Bill, right up until it went on YouTube. So, I'm gonna say it's My Singing Monsters vinyl. Is the word album in there? Vinyl album release.
You were so close. Stumped. I feel bad. I feel bad.
Rats.
Human expert, Eric, you sound like you'd have a great voice to say stumped, and I haven't heard you say it yet.
Oh, I thought you'd never ask. Here you go. Are you ready?
I guess so.
Stop.
Oh.
Oh, that was very sweet.
Would you like to do one together? I feel like we would.
Okay. 3,
Ready?
Harmonize.
2, 1.
That was
That was
beautiful.
nice.
That was beautiful.
What was the correct answer?
The correct answer was My Singing Monsters official soundtrack vinyl release.
Oh, so album wasn't in there, but this is a little extra.
Soundtrack was.
And of
You
course,
can't
affectionately
win 'em all
known as
there,
Hey
buddy.
Bill.
Hey, Bill.
You can't win.
That was a
'em all.
personal favorite of mine. Shoot, I
You
believe
can't win
we
'em
did it
all.
in a matter of
Oh, goodness.
hours.
Was that at Christmas time? I seem to recall there's a Christmas tree. I think I'm in there decorating
Yes,
a Christmas tree.
that's right. And because the office was a little more bare than normal regarding staff because people were on their holidays, and that allowed us to run around shooting this very silly video.
Yes. All right, one more question for you.
All right,
Okay.
I'm rooting for you.
Thank you.
What episode were polls introduced into My Singing Monsters Live?
Ooh.
It's a tough one.
That is.
You mean like the support beams that are used to
Yes,
hold
the ones
up the
holding
studio?
up the building.
Yes.
Okay, so those kinds of poles, four of them. That was the question, right? There are 4 poles.
Which
holding up
episode
the
were they
ceiling.
introduced?
They've only been in 4 episodes.
No, I mean, wasn't that the question? The number of poles
I will
supporting the
repeat.
ceiling in your studio?
I will repeat.
Okay.
What episode were polls introduced to My Singing Monsters Live?
You know what? I'm gonna try it again. Episode 7! I know I sound sort of like a broken record at this point.
No, hey, as someone who didn't choose 7 and lives to regret it, I understand.
I'm trying to
moral
sort
of
of
the story is
let you
always
live
choose seven.
vicariously through me there, Eric.
Episode 7. Unfortunately, you've been stumped.
Oh,
You were close. Episode 5.
that's
Wow.
not that
Does it
close.
happen to say what
Sydney,
the
you're
poll
so
was?
nice.
It does not happen to say what the poll was.
Oh.
Was it? I wonder if it was related to food.
They seem
Perhaps the eggnog episode, maybe.
Oh, that could be it.
Actually, I can check if that was the same episode. That was the eggnog episode.
That makes sense because we were taking votes what to mix into the eggnog.
Right,
Be happy
of
you weren't here for
course.
that one. Human
Oh.
expert.
I'll have to go and rewatch all of my favorites, and you know what the truth is?
What's that?
Every single one is my favorite.
Ah.
I like them all.
Well, I hope you come back for more future episodes. Because
Yeah.
as scared as I was of trivia questions, this was a lot of fun.
I'd absolutely love to. And you know, if we ever do figure out trans-dimensional travel, I sure would like to have you come and just, shoot the shrub with me. Eric, I'd really like that.
I'd love to, but I'm a little intimidated by human expert Matt,
Really?
if I'm being honest.
Well, I'm intimidated by you. What a nice reciprocal relationship.
Well, there we go.
Maybe you could hang out when human expert Matt's not around.
Oh,
Yeah.
that sounds
Maybe
like
when
a
he's
nice
out doing
idea.
some
Yeah, who
errands.
needs that
Maybe,
guy, right?
maybe I can go meet human expert Sidley.
Wouldn't that be nice?
I'll have
like
to
meet
ask
them
her.
too.
Oh, Sidley! Sidley!
No,
Where are
Sidley,
you?
Sidney.
Sidley!
Aw.
Sidley! Sidley!
Oh,
Just like that, he's gone.
I hope he finds Sidley. Just like
I
I
hope
hope
so,
we
too.
find Matt.
Where is he?
But you know what we could find right now?
Some
Some monster pieces.
Let's get
pull
to
'em
them.
up.
All right, our first monster piece of the day is from Facite Flog.
Ooh, here's some of the epic sponge art you were talking about.
It is one, yeah, exactly, one of the promised epic sponge artworks. Very cute, very squishy looking.
Quite the expression too.
Yes, quite enjoy that one. Our next one comes from Sasha Just Dancer. And would you look at that?
Hey,
Some familiar faces.
not looking too shabby.
No, and at the top it says, "We're live." Look at Monster Handler Matt's ascot looks like a cardigan tied around his neck.
I love
Very
it.
suave.
Look how much fun Mike is having over there.
A lot. It looks very joyful.
Very, very nice job.
Our next one is from Austin GS, and it is their prediction for rare flower.
Wow, that's quite the look.
Very
for
intense
flower.
hands.
Yes.
And flowers reminiscent of Epic Courser.
That's, very interesting.
Next one from Connor G. It is their original monster, the tuba whale.
That is cool.
And look, they have their little elements at the bottom too. Which it looks like it's water. Is that air? Perhaps earth and fire? I'm not sure.
That's interesting.
Very cute.
Very cool makeup.
Stack O Wubblins has sent us
Oh.
as Sims in The Sims 4.
Oh my goodness.
One of my favorite non-My Sing Monsters games.
Well, this is I don't think there's any greater honor than becoming a Sim.
What would your Sims job be? Pro athlete.
No, but that would be fun.
Maybe you'd
I
reach
don't-
to the top of the business career.
I want to say professional daredevil. That'd be fun.
Oh. Just making up your own jobs.
Oh, I'm be honest, I'm not familiar. What's the job in The Sims you would give me?
Well, in The Sims 4, there's an expansion pack now where you can make YouTube videos, so I think you'd do that.
Wow, okay, if you want to be unimagined.
All right, this next one from Flame looks familiar.
Yes, it does. I'm having some fun with imagination. I'm doing the motion. You can't see it.
Of course, a nod to Epic Sponge and his resemblance to a certain cartoon character.
That's right.
All right, this next one is very exciting. So on Amino, there
Holy
was
cannoli.
yes, on Amino there was a hashtag going around, Monster Pets. It was like a challenge, and the challenge was to make your pets into monsters. So these aren't all of them, but huge fan of this
This
challenge.
is incredible.
Yes.
What a community effort.
We've got a Boscus, we've got those guinea. Oh, so that's a coaster made out of guinea pigs and rabbit faces.
Wow, I
Yes.
would love to see more of these. If you guys want to put some on Twitter and other social media channels other than Amino, hashtag them not only My Streaming Monsters, but also hashtag Monster Pets.
Yes.
I would love to revisit these in the future because this is incredible.
I love these. Great idea. Keep doing it, man.
Amazing.
All right, Star Sailor brings us.
Oh, I love it. We've got a little bit of Squidward's. Actually, I believe it's an interpretive dance. We
I
brought
believe
that up
so.
earlier.
Oh my goodness, we did.
Well, look at that. And an excellent rendition with
I love
Epic Sponge
The
there.
matching background too. Very well done.
Yes. A lot of great detail there. Even the expression.
Yes, very well done. Next by Poke Doke.
Ooh.
Very cute. So they're all looking at a lightning bug.
And just a very, very nice sort of stripped down style.
Yes,
Very
very
clean
simple and
representations. I love it.
I love it. Very clean. Santiago Ruperto on Instagram sent us this very cool drawing of T-Rox.
Wow. Very, very detailed.
Yes.
Sort of grittier,
Yeah.
so to speak, for
Very
T-Rox.
intense.
Get it?
A little scary. Grit. This next one comes from Looper, and we'll get a load of this.
It's been hiding pineapple in there the whole time.
Yeah, good for a snack.
Yeah.
I like
we
the
did
pop.
we wanted a pineapple monster kitchen. And here's Epic Sponge trying to help us out.
Oh, how kind of them.
Ah.
Ethereal Wubblins brings us some young ethereals, very cute, especially like how Humbug kind of looks like a larva.
Yeah, a very nice detail. I also appreciate Rebro's face.
Yes, very cute.
A very, very silly style to it. And what I really like is Gas and sort of the coloring of Gas. Because it kind of seems like maybe it grows into
Yeah.
a darker hue.
Yeah, it's a lighter, cuter color.
Yeah, very awesome.
Very nice. Well, thank you for all of those. If you want to send us your monster pieces for future episodes, post them on any social media channel. Tag My Streaming Monsters if you can, and include hashtag My Streaming Monsters.
Please do. Well,
Guys!
oh,
Guys!
who's that? Oh,
I'm here!
it's
I
Mech!
made it!
Finn!
I slept in.
Oh,
But I looked under the desk. I didn't see you.
yeah, your nap
No,
spot.
I know that's usually where
Your
I
pillow's
do.
down
I
there.
know that's usually where I do sleep, but I ran all the way here. I'm a little out of breath. Can you cut me some slack?
That's all
Also,
right. Take a
Michael appears to have just vacated his post
He
over
had
being our camera operator for the day.
he did.
You know, that guy, I'm going to have a talk with him. I feel
Wait.
like I already have in some form or another. But you know what? I think that you guys have been doing an absolutely stellar job of this episode 30 of My Sing Monsters Live. So you know what?
That you
I need to
didn't
go
see
back.
because you were napping?
That's correct.
You can sense it now.
he
Goodbye.
thinks we did
I
a
have
good job.
confidence in my fellow monster handlers.
You know, you could ask
Who?
human expert Eric, who we met.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
And he's great.
The things you miss when you're busy
I
sleeping.
can't believe how fun
Listen,
it is interacting with the human experts. They're
Well,
amazing. They're
these
wonderful.
guys-
I'll have to watch it back because, so far as I know, I woke up during Monsterpieces and then I rushed over here at top speed. Look, good thing I don't live very far
Well,
from the studio. But you know what? As I said before, I think you're doing a great job. So why don't you sort of sign us off? I'm just going to go back, and Michael's not here anymore, so I'm just going to go.
Sure, take control.
And yeah, I'm gonna assume the post.
Well, we do have one more piece of business to attend to, I believe.
I do believe that is our giveaway.
And what is the giveaway today, Sydney?
Well, let's see. Our subscriber giveaway was Rare Sponge.
Then what could the regular
Maybe
giveaway
something that's new?
be? No.
But what? What could it be?
Um,
Maybe something that's actually related to behind the scenes as well. Maybe something we talked about earlier today. That would be a good idea,
A
right?
poll?
Oh, four of them?
Then they can hold up a ceiling.
Oh, that'd be a very nice gift. But unfortunately, that's not what I'm seeing here in
Rats.
my notes.
I can't win anything.
It looks like we're giving away Epic Sponge.
Epic Sponge!
How exciting. All right, and I believe our
We have a winner.
Yes, our
Ooh.
winner has been chosen.
Okay.
So, the winner of an Epic Sponge is the One Biddy.
Hey, congratulations!
So, please whisper message us your friend code in My Say Monsters so that we can send you your Epic Sponge next week. Or maybe tomorrow. Either tomorrow or next week.
Yeah, I guess that's an advantage of doing the show on a Thursday.
Who knew? So, well, I think that's just about everything.
That is just about everything. I hope you guys had a great time taking a peek behind the scenes of the game, behind the scenes of the show, into the magic mirror that reappeared.
Always fun peeking into the mirror. Always a little, you never know what you're going to get, but
That's-
it's always exciting.
I was pleasantly surprised with what I got.
I bet you were.
What a great guy, that human expert. I love.
What a great expert.
Just like I love everyone out there watching us. Thank you so much for tuning in. Even if you're on YouTube and you're not necessarily catching it live, thank you so much for watching. And
We really appreciate it.
We'll sign off like we always do.
With a weekly composer piece.
Oh yes, I guess we should. we
Excuse
should
me?
introduce it.
Now, this composer piece is, I believe, called Galaxy Island.
Galactic
Galactic Island.
Galactic
Oh.
Island. And I thought that it would be fun to do it because Vhamp, is just around the corner. Vhamp is
Right,
just around
right.
the corner. And this
Aw.
was composed by a username Vhamp the Mech in this Galactic Island.
Thanks, Vamp the Mech. And also send some hearts in the chat if you like Monster Handler Matt's new haircut.
Yeah.
So, thank you for this composer piece. And without further ado, shall we? What?
I just want to throw you off.
So you did.
Say it.
Happy
Happy
monstering!
monstering!
Thank you for watching. Us monster handlers really appreciate it. If you liked this episode and you want to see even more where that came from, you know what to do. Like the video, subscribe to our channel, and then you can stay tuned. Get it? Tuned? It's music humor. Anyways, happy monstering.